Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we are starting a new series here on my channel all about gatekeeping in tattooing. This first video is going to cover gatekeeping in terms of race and class. So this is definitely going to be a long video, so grab a snack, get comfortable. I would love it if you would watch to the end of this video because all AdSense earnings are going to be donated to the Black Fluidity Club created by Tan Parker and Kiara Kaplan, which I'll talk about later on. If you're new here, my name is Celeste. I make tattoo related content right here every Wednesday. I am not a tattooer myself, but every single claim I make in this video will be backed up with extensive research that is always linked below. So let's get into this incredibly important topic. I think a good place to start when approaching race in tattooing is discussing the Captain Cook myth. According to historian Dr. Anna Friedman, many scholarly texts from the 1950s propose that the origins of modern tattooing came from Captain James Cook visiting Polynesia in the late 18th century. Many Western texts accredit Cook with quote-unquote discovering tattooing by encountering tattooed people in Tahiti. Obviously, this is not the case, as you can't discover something that ancient cultures have been practicing for thousands of years. Historically, this is nothing new, as white colonizers pretty much did this with everything ancient peoples had, from land to culture, language, art, etc. I think this myth is a great place to start because the ramifications of white people centering themselves in tattooing is very much present in popular Western tattoo culture today. So although tattooing did originate by communities of color, there's a huge lack of diversity in popular tattoo culture right now. Angela Ruiz wrote an amazing article for Allure in September of last year. Angela asserts that, quote, arguably the most obvious form of racism in tattooing is the lack of representation for black and brown skin, both in terms of who is hired at tattoo shops and the images shown in many artists' portfolios. The latter can be especially prevalent on Instagram, where many artists only post photos of finished tattoos on lighter skin tones, or even desaturate their images so their entire feed is in black and white. This is such a huge issue, especially on Instagram, and I really want to show you guys exactly how bad it is. So let's take a quick look at the last 3 Ink Master winners' Instagram profiles. First we have Josh Payne, who won Season 10 most recently, and his Instagram is at Josh Payne Tattoo. He tattoos in Denver, Colorado. And I'm just going to scroll on these pages to see if there's any representation other than very light skin. Next we have Bubba Irwin, who won Season 9. His Instagram is Bubba-I, so B-U-B-B-A-I tattoos. He tattoos in Scottsdale as well as Nashville, Tennessee. There is one darker skinned individual, and this post is from March 23rd of this year. And then we'll keep going. Next we have Ryan Ashley, who won Season 8, and her Instagram is Ryan Ashley Malarkey. Well, there you have it. These are supposed to be the ink masters. And out of the three of them, there's only one somewhat recent photo of a tattoo on a black or brown skinned individual. A master of tattooing really can't just tattoo one skin tone. Skin as an art medium is so incredibly varied, and to showcase your work on only the lightest skin tones shows a huge lack of ability. Now, Ink Master has a long history of perpetuating the idea that tattooing darker skin tones is somehow worse for the tattoo artist. Splinter News reported on an episode from season 2 where a contestant was faced with 4 professional athletes, 3 of whom were black. The contestant said, "I don't want the dark canvases. They take away half of your skill set. My stuff is dark and creepy, and I don't want to do that dark on dark skin. This is not the canvas for me." Now, this is from season 2, and Ink Master is currently on season 10, but as you saw from the past 3 winners' Instagram feeds, the diversity is simply not there. I think Ink Master is a great example of the Captain Cook myth being perpetuated today. White people are taking advantage of the practices of communities of color, so tattooing, and they are simultaneously excluding people of color from these practices in order to center whiteness as the ideal for the medium. Candice Lane, who is a tattoo artist who was interviewed for the Allure piece, says that she believes the problem is perpetuated by the education system for tattooers. Candice says if an artist does their apprenticeship in a predominantly white studio that doesn't frequently tattoo clients with darker skin tones, the apprentice will simply never have had the experience to do so. Candice also said that over the years she has found it rare for white-owned tattoo parlors to hire anyone who isn't also white. Now, there are some cities in America that aren't very diverse, and that's another issue entirely on its own, but I don't want to discredit artists in those situations. But for these incredibly popular tattoo artists who call themselves ink masters, who also live in incredibly diverse cities, there's really no reason why they can't be inclusive of all skin tones. And what this boils down to is a huge lack of education on exactly how to tattoo darker skin tones among white tattoo artists. Inexperienced or careless tattoo artists attempting to work on deeper skin types can lead to overworking. The aggressive overworking of a tattoo during one session can lead to skin trauma such as inflammation, scarring, and depending on your skin type, a keloid. According to tattoo artist Luna, who is at Playing in Ink on Instagram, this lack of understanding is what makes it harder for black and brown people to be safely tattooed. I know I will have comments on this video from individuals who get offended when I bring up race in this video. Usually they say something like, "Why does it matter who we tattoo? It should matter what we tattoo or how we tattoo." I challenge those commenters to think about why creating an inclusive environment seems threatening to you. Because yes, it is extra work on top of tattooing, but as an artist, why would you not want to showcase your abilities on every possible skin tone? You do make a choice as a tattoo artist on whether or not you are creating an inclusive environment. I'm not here to judge anyone watching this video, but if you are a tattoo artist, there are steps you can take to learn how to tattoo darker skin tones and showcase your work on a range of different people. Brittany, who is at Humblebee Tattoo on Instagram, gives great advice for tattooers who are looking to become more diverse. She says, quote, "If you're an artist who doesn't have much experience working on darker skin tones, let your clients know that you're not familiar with darker skin. Ask if they are willing to work with you on it and if they trust you to give it a try. Give people of color and black people discounts if you're practicing, just so you can gain that experience." Let's take an artist like Bang Bang for example. Bang Bang is an extremely popular tattooer who owns his own shop in New York City. New York City is an incredibly diverse area, and with Bang Bang being one of the most popular shops in the city, it's really strange to see how few tattoos there are represented of black and brown skin on their Instagram page that has 2.5 million followers. Bang Bang has been publicly called out in the past for desaturating photos of darker skinned clients, and it does seem like they've stopped doing this now, but their page does show a huge lack of diversity. And at the time of the scandal, Bang Bang was responding to people in an incredibly defensive and aggressive manner. This hostility and lack of inclusion feels a lot like white fragility to me. Robin DiAngelo coined the term white fragility in 2011 to describe the defensiveness that white people exhibit when their ideas of race and racism are challenged, and particularly when they are implicated in white supremacy. DiAngelo argues that our society is set up in a way that protects white people from any sort of racial discomfort. So when they're confronted with things that they're doing that are racist, they immediately respond with backlash. And that is definitely what we have seen with the Bang Bang situation. Now, it's not only those who are trying to get tattooed who are being actively excluded from tattooing. Tattooing is also an incredibly difficult job to get into as a person of color who wants to be a tattoo artist. Rachel Duazo, who is a Seattle-based POC tattoo artist and illustrator, says, "There are plenty of DIY artists out there, many of them POC who have been pushed out from the tattooing industry because they don't have access to the resources, people, or teachings that would enable them to become full-fledged tattoo artists. On the other side of that, Western tattooing is still heavily saturated with white men tattooers, and a lot of times this makes it so there isn't the proper environment or space for POC to get tattooed. Whether they experience racism or general unease, there has to be an opportunity for POC to be taught how to tattoo so they may hold space for their own people." So there, Rachel talks about a DIY tattoo artist, and what she's referring to is a tattoo artist who has had to completely be self-taught because they couldn't be professionally trained under a traditional apprenticeship. There is a discrepancy between DIY artists and professional tattoo artists, and the industry doesn't offer teaching opportunities to artists of color as readily as it provides them to white artists. A lot of this comes down to class disparities, and this point is illustrated really well by Anderson Luna, who was interviewed by Tattoo Do on their experience with apprenticeships. Anderson Luna says, "Apprenticeships are really hard to come by. The idea that you would have to sit under somebody for 2 years before you get to touch a tattoo machine and work for them for free. What class do you have to be from to work for a year for next to nothing?" He goes on to say this creates a class disparity within the tattoo community and disproportionately affects people of color. Privileged white tattoo artists should be aware of how their privilege has enabled them to have access to education and work opportunities that people of color would have to work twice as hard to gain access to. This is why it doesn't matter just what or how you tattoo. It matters a whole lot of who you tattoo and the environment you create around your tattooing. I think it's really important for white people to be talking about this with other white people. We are really lucky to have people of color who have explained these issues to journalists, and we are able to learn from their experiences. But in reality, people of color are already working incredibly hard to face racism in their day-to-day lives, and they really don't need to be educating white people on how not to be racist to them. If you've been following my page for a while, you will know that the Instagram page at the Diaspora has been a huge resource for me to learn about anti-racism in the tattoo community. The page is run by Tan Parker, who is a tattoo artist located in Brooklyn in New York. And Tan Parker, along with tattoo artist Kiara Capelin, have created the Black Fluidity Tattoo Club. And I will explain to you guys what that is. According to their GoFundMe page, Kiara and Tan are self-taught tattooers and want to encourage more Black people to start their own tattooing practices. It's no longer just about teaching people how to tattoo dark skin. It's about allowing Black people, but especially dark-skinned Black people, the access to tattooers who look like them. Through the Black Fluidity Tattoo Club, we will help fellow self-taught Black tattooers feel affirmed in their practice. We have a committed team of people ready to work with the club. We just need some financial support to make this happen. Tan and Kiara have so far raised about $7,400 towards their $33,000 goal. So as I said in the beginning, all AdSense revenue from this video will be donated to the Black Fluidity Tattoo Club. If you can, watch this video a few more times, maybe have the ads run a little bit longer than you normally would. That would definitely be a way to help this organization grow. If you are really generously able to donate on your own, I will have the link in the description of this video as well. I think it's really important for tattoo collectors, tattoo enthusiasts, really anyone who likes tattooing, to be involved in creating a safe space for everyone to get tattooed. But that is all I have for you guys in this first video on the series about gatekeeping in tattooing. I really want to make this a regular occurrence on my channel, so please let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. But if you've made it to the end of this video, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. If you have, leave me this emoji in the comments so that I know that you are a real one. Bye guys.